kind of heavy. Donovan was in here talking about kind of his mental health and struggles he went through. How have you seen him kind of work through that and maybe grow and improve and figure some things out?
Yes, something that's obviously much more, much less taboo, right? In terms of guys being comfortable seeking that type of help. It used to be really, people think you're crazy or whatever it is, and say, hey, no, I really need some time here. He's been through a lot, got hurt, missed a lot of his recruitment, heading into, he was a really highly recruited kid until he got hurt. Found his way here after a strange kind of recruitment in the spring of his senior year, and came here with a pretty high level of confidence about what he could do. And then obviously he had some difficult moments last year, both on the court, and then obviously that spills onto your life. Not only that, we're dealing with a pandemic and you're not able to see your family and your family's not able to come spend much time with you. And so I do think it was a lot on all the guys, but specifically, dealing with an injury on top of it, and obviously not being able to be a part of physically some of the success we had. So I was proud of him for speaking up and seeking some guidance. It's not my professional skill, but I'm glad that we here at the athletic department have those services available for guys and provide that support when they need it in those areas. So I hope he's an example to other guys that may go through things mentally, that there is help. There's a way to get past and get over. And I think he's in a good place now. He speaks very confidently about his ability now to be able to contribute again. But it's real, and there's no question about it that his experience moving forward will have a great impact on future guys coming through our program.
I was going to ask, how different is he now to you?
He's still a little bit self-conscious when he struggles in practices, which happens to all of them, right? But you wonder if it goes back to a place where he doesn't think he's good enough, and certainly he's good enough. He's a talented kid. So you're always conscious about it and try to make sure that he's continuing to seek that guidance. Because one thing that I would be afraid of is feeling like you got it figured out, right? And not continue to seek that guidance through whatever. Sort of like I would equate to a family member of mine who's dealt with alcoholism, and you get to a place where you feel like I don't need help, and then you relapse, and now that cycle of whatever the behavior was kind of comes around again. So we got to continue to monitor it and talk to him and make sure that he's continue to seek the guidance that he needs.
For you as a coach, how did you help him when he was going through that time of kind of feeling isolated and feeling down on himself? What was your role toward him?
I think you have to talk to him about it. Obviously without getting into too many specifics about what happened. But my job here is to be a support system and to help these guys understand that not only from a basketball coaching standpoint, but from a developmental standpoint, off the court in the classroom, socially, personally, that we're here to provide a gateway to the rest of their lives, really. That's why I'm such an advocate for the environment we have, the college experience, because it gives you a true opportunity to figure yourself out before you have all the responsibilities of adulthood, right? And so I just think my job is to make sure that he knows he can come in my office and never talk about basketball if he chooses, and to make sure that he understands he's more than a basketball player here in our program.
You mentioned that shift in recent times of putting more spotlight on mental health and athletic. How has that changed even since you played basketball versus now? How have you seen those conversations shift?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not sure I ever heard anybody cite mental health when I was playing basketball. Wasn't that long ago, I don't think. But clearly it's been long enough because this isn't new, right? And the world's ever changing. I think that's one of the things that I always try to be mindful of is evolution is real, and that's been that way since the beginning of time, and we have to always adapt to the different societal factors that go in. And again, I would imagine the pandemic being a real thing at the time was a part of not feeling like there was a great amount of outlets for them. We were very conscious of our guys not going out and seeking those social environments where maybe they could kind of release some stress, so to speak. So maybe that was a part of it as well.
At the Colvin practice, you sent him and Ice down with the posts. Ice, obviously, he's been down there before, but about Donovan, what kind of spawned that idea, and what do you like about it?
Yeah, so obviously, the first perimeter guy that we really worked with down there was Cade, and he kind of set a tone for us. And Ma and Ice ended up, because I look at Ma as kind of a hybrid perimeter player, but just physically capable of playing inside for us with no problem. And so I think it was an asset to us to have bigger guys who could then, play inside, rebound, small ball, if you will, when the time is necessary. So he's a guy I think can fit that role. He's a strong kid, and so we'll continue to explore that moving forward.
Donovan kind of spoke about getting back onto the court and finding his feet again. For where he is now and where he might get, what kind of role do you see for him?
It's hard to say for sure because he hasn't been out there in a game like in a long time. So to really try to project that is probably unfair. But he's a guy who's worked himself. I would say today he's a clear part of our main rotation, barring him not being able to perform when he goes out there, and that's a testament to his ability to overcome some of the challenges he had last year and figure out a different way to help us than maybe he thought would be his role coming in last season.
Yeah, he said he still feels like he's playing below the rim a little bit more than he'd like. How close do you think he is to getting back to himself?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because it's probably more of a medical question, I think he feels confident that he can cut and jump, and he's practicing full time. So that's good in my estimation. As far as will he ever be the athlete he was before? I don't know. But sometimes guys just don't ever get back to being an explosive athlete. But we got to find a way to find a role for him because I do think he has some skill that can be very useful. He plays really hard. He rebounds. He's got some toughness. He can guard multiple positions. If he ever does get his explosiveness down, that'll be a bonus for us. We got a pretty athletic team out there, So sometimes a little bit, I always said about Russell Westbrook, it was pretty amazing to me that he was clearly the most athletic dude on the court, where everybody was more athletic than anybody ever imagined in my life, and the way he stood out in that regard. So sometimes that happens with Don. We got a lot of really athletic guys, and his athleticism just doesn't jump off the page anymore.
You've had the Missouri scrimmage, but based on social media, it looks like you've done some intersquad stuff. How close are you to kind of understanding what you have? Do you know anything new that you didn't know before?
Not necessarily different. I feel more confident that our guys know our system now than I did 2 weeks ago. I feel more confident that guys kind of know what we expect from them individually. And, I feel like as we get closer to next week, we'll have an idea of what our rotation should look like going into our exhibition game with UCO.
Woody was saying kind of one of the big moments he remembers in his eventual process to get into Oklahoma State was when you sent him a text at around midnight, kind of saying, hey, you ready to hop on Oklahoma State? Do you remember, first off, do you remember sending that text?
I do, yeah.
What kind of went into that? He was saying, you could have been on a date or just hanging out with your kids or sleeping. What kind of went into that? I get
in trouble with my wife a lot in here. We don't go on very many dates. And now that you've got me to say that out loud, she's probably going to make sure that the quote isn't ever forgotten.
It's on the record.
But I tell you all the time. I mean, recruiting is a passion of mine. I enjoy getting to know people, and that's not uncommon for me. Part of the reason I feel like we're able to coach the way we do, the way we're able to demand and challenge guys, is because we get really, really personal with them in the recruiting process, and we're honest with them through that process about what the expectations will. So the earlier kid is able to commit, the quicker I can start to de-recruit, deprogram that mentality of of the pursuit, if you will, and Woody's been tremendous to coach since he's gotten here.
Obviously, COVID last year, the attendance was way down and you weren't able to go out. And you have homecoming and hoops coming up on Friday, but have you kind of seen the reception from the students that you've wanted to see? You've had some open practices and went to the Colvin. Are you seeing that reception?
Yeah, I think our students have been phenomenal. I've been on campus again this year. I wasn't on campus at all last year. Been to some Greek houses, done some speaking engagements in some other capacities, and I think they're all really excited. got word numbers are way high, even higher than my year here as an assistant coach, when there was a lot of excitement in terms of season tickets and student requests for all sport passes, and a lot of that has to do with their excitement for basketball season. So, we'll see. We're from yesterday, 2 weeks from a first official game, because the exhibition's sort of hard to kind of measure. People know it's not real and all that stuff. Although as a coach, you want to prepare and play as well as you can. From a fan standpoint, I think that first game gives you a little bit better idea of the excitement that fans have for the upcoming season.